Okay, it's 5:30 by the atomic clock. We'll stand, do a pledge, and a little moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll have a little silence, and really we ought to, the way the federal government's going, we really ought to all be praying for something. I don't know what. Okay, thank you very much for that moment of silence. Douglas is here, and Lewis is here, and Robert is here. So all are present. We'll start with public comment. Any? Anto, yeah? Yes, sir. Come forward and state your name and address and date of birth and your rank and serial number.
Got my Army Aviator watch on.
Yeah.
My name is Bill Mason. I live at 128 Rock Creek Loop in Lansing. That's south side of Lansing. I have been a Leavenworth County resident for 35 years. I moved here in 1983 for an assignment at Fort Leavenworth. We liked it so well, we just stayed, and we've been here since 1983. I lived 10 years in the city of Leavenworth, out west of the high school. And in 1993, we moved to Lansing, and we've been there ever since. I would like to bring to your attention that in today's Leavenworth Times, there's a very informative letter to the editor written by Mrs. Marty Crow on the expansion of Leavenworth County from 3 to 5 districts. Excellently written. She uses much more refinement than I do when I write or talk. But I have several other copies of letters to the editor, all of them concerning the expansion of the county to 5 districts. To say the least, I am peeved at Commissioner Klemp for his statement last week that he was going to offer a proposal to increase the commission salaries. He said he would present it this week or in the next few weeks. I have heard Commissioner Klemp and I think Commissioner Smith say on several occasions how hard they are working, and at least Mr. Klemp, that they need more pay. In my opinion, I do not believe that elected or employees of a government should talk about how much they make or how much they work. The Gimme 5 group worked hard for several months to collect 3,000 signatures to get a proposal on this November ballot to increase the Leavenworth County Commission from 3 to 5 members. Many voters in Leavenworth County agree with the premise to add 2 commissioners, and that commissioners should not be paid executive salaries. I spent 22 years in the United States Army. I heard a lot of soldier bitches and gripes, usually over mess hall chow and how hard they were working. I'll be truthful. I never saw a soldier die of starvation. I never saw a soldier collapse from overwork. I have yet to see a county commissioner collapse from overwork in this room. In my opinion, Commissioner Klem's salary proposal at this date, this late date, is particularly upsetting. It's an affront. If I may describe it in a little more graphic terms, it's almost waving or doing a finger wave in the face of a lot of Leavenworth County voters.
Sir, if you'll get to your point, because we're
will,
going to discuss this in detail.
Well, we've been going to discuss it in detail. I came here 15 years ago, talked about the same thing. And Mr. Klem got up and he said, you know, I have a friend in Wisconsin who tells me in their county commission they have many more commissioners than what we have in Leavenworth, and they can't get anything done. Okay, I called a reporter, I think in the Madison, Wisconsin state capitol newspaper, and talked to him. He said, yeah, that's true. We do have counties with a large number of commissioners, but that's what the people want, and that's what they voted for. So here, recently, Commissioner Klem slapped some folders up there. He said, here's all the studies that have done on going to 5 commissioners. Another folder, here's all the studies they've done on commissioner pay. But you know what never happened? Not in my time in 35 years. I do not remember that proposal ever making it to the ballot. Never making it to the election. Redistricting the county commission to 5 commissioners is not the critical issue. A key portion of the Give Me 5 proposal is to hold commissioner salaries somewhere around where they are right now in toto. That is, take the current 121,000 per all 3, divide it by 5, and start the new commission out at 24, 25, 26.
I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
1 more minute?
Yep.
I don't know why you're putting a time restraint on me.
Because it's there. 1 minute, that's all you got. Because we're going to discuss this in detail, your article that you say is highly impressive. So,
well,
yeah,
it's
1
right
minute.
There.
I'm going to watch it on the clock.
Okay. One thing I've heard is, and I do not think, Leavenworth County should not be compared to the 5 biggest counties in the state, nor should it be compared to the next 5 smaller counties after Leavenworth. They are not comparable. We believe that a 5-county commission will be more effective, and that salaries in the $24,000 to $25,000 range is appropriate. Last comment. Since no one really knows how many hours commissioner works, and then can do a computation of an appropriate pay, perhaps county commissioners should fill out a weekly time card. Becomes public, and we can tell what you're doing and when you're doing it and why you're doing it. I thank you for my 2 minutes or whatever I got.
Oh, you had way over that. But if you want to stay, we want to get everything else.
I understand. Get the rest of the people who want a chance to comment on anything.
Yeah, on anything. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Bill. Anybody else want to comment that has something different than Mr. Mason has? Yes, ma'am. 174th Street.
For those people that don't know who I am, I'm Kathy Grigsby, and there's a group of us here tonight from 174th Street, and our street goes between State and Evans Road. And thank you for coming. Today I'm asking you to reconsider the PRP program for this street. Last Tuesday we weren't not at 100%, but we are today. I've hand carried the last 4 in personally myself. We have fulfilled all the steps thus far to the letter and on time. The end of the month isn't even here yet. Due to that fact, I feel you should reconsider your decision from just last week. Everyone that owns land on this street is invested in this program. I'm not sure if you truly understood me why I was speaking last week, because I know you talked about other changes to the program, but you need to listen. I'm here to support this program, the PRP program for 174th Street. We are not a frequent street, which means We're not at the top of the list to get this paved over. People go on other streets. Who wants to go on our rock road? Someone discussed that with me today. That's a true point. So I'd rather drive down a paved street myself. The PRP program is designed for roads like ours, not a high priority road. The people at the Public Works Department, I'm going to tell you, these people have bent over backwards for this program. They have willing to come to meetings, ask any questions, come to your home even, talk to you, notarize our paperwork, take phone calls, send out extra copies when someone's mom throws one away, you know. She didn't know. They're 90 years old. 174th Street was willing to sign the petitions, give up a portion of their properties, get paperwork notarized, willing to move fences. We even have a fence person that lives on our street that's going to relocate fences for other people that can't afford to do that. We are united at 100%. How would you feel if someone gave you a gift and just took it away from you before you even got to open it up? It would be like a kid at Christmas time. This kid was good all year long. He did everything he was supposed to do. But just before he opened his special gift, it was taken away. Again, I have to ask you, how would you feel? This is not how I taught my students to treat others, nor do I think it's how you would want to treat others yourself. I'm a retired special ed teacher. I had only one rule in my classroom. That rule was respect. How disrespectful is that to remove something from someone who did what they were told to do? Last week, not one of you asked me in your discussion. I was able to speak before, but you didn't ask me during your discussion before you voted on the decision that affected my street, our street, I should say. I was so frustrated last week. This seems so unfair to everyone on that street. Again, I will tell you we're not a high priority road. That's why PRP means so much to us. 40 years ago, I bought this property. We were told it will be paved because it goes clear to Highway 32. I am still waiting today. However, just last week I was able to see how easily it was for you to veto this program, as it is, for the way we had it set up, with ditches. I know you're looking unclear.
I think you're mistaken what happened last week.
Okay, can I continue and I'll finish
Yeah,
and
but
let you talk? Okay.
you just moved to the top of the list by getting 100%.
Are we getting ditches? Are we having things removed?
Yes. By getting 100%, you just moved to the top of the list. That's what we voted on last week.
Then I was told differently. Yes.
Yeah.
But we were going to do a dust abatement.
No, I'm
and
talking
the
about the
PRP
program
is
that-
moving to the top of the
Yeah,
list.
but
If
she's
you
not,
got-
getting ditches.
She's
not-
talking about a fully engineered
Fully
design.
engineered road.
I know,
I
but
know.
that's what she's talking about.
That's what I'm trying
Let's let her
to
finish.
get into you to understand. Today, I plead with you to reconsider this program for our street. Due to the fact that we followed everything down to the letter, our street did everything, and the time's not even up today. Can you add this discussion to your agenda next week? I think it should be addressed again. You know, I also want to thank those of you who came to support us today, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Others weren't not able to come. We came at the 9 o'clock meeting, I think it was 9 o'clock this morning, because that's what we were told. It's the end of the month. We didn't realize it's at 5:30. Other people couldn't come back because of that. But they're anxious to hear the good news. They want to hear back something positive. I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. We'll discuss a little bit later if you want, if anybody want to reconsider. We got 76,000 people in the community, and how many down there on 174th? Engineer?
24 parcels, I believe.
24 parcels, so 76,000. That's another 75,000 something people that are out here, and that's what we're trying to do, spread the funds. Trying to spread the funds. We got to do that. There's somebody other than what's in it for me. It has to be what's in it for the county. And if we can do your road and on a dust abatement without going in there and buying houses, buying trees, taking curves out of roads by doing the dust abatement. That's hopefully what the intent will be in the future until a road gets a road count on it that says if we don't put curbs and gutters and the city doesn't annex it, we've got a real problem with this road. So we can discuss
And
later if you want.
And dust abatement is
Yeah.
chip and seal hard surface.
Yep.
I mean,
So,
we're just not gonna rebuild the whole road to a current standard.
so
Hollingsworth Road was done using the dust abatement.
Right,
program.
Hollingsworth was a dust abatement road, and that's asphalt. That's not chip seal.
155th Street. All these roads are now being done rapidly at $200,000-300,000 a mile, not 15,000 as in Eisenhower. Not, no, I won't say it. 15 million for Eisenhower, roughly 6.5 million for McIntyre. Nobody owns up. Who wanted McIntyre? Who won it? Nobody owns up. And yet it was a high priority road. 147th, it's been on the agenda for a long time. And it helped development. Who wanted it? I have the slightest idea. I can understand Eisenhower because Lansing and Leavenworth both get 7.5 million out of the deal. So, we get 97 million. It's amazing. People that come to meetings and they don't have the information. And I'm sure glad I don't have to serve another 2 years because I really don't have to cater to anybody at any time. And it gets real annoying when I see people shaking their heads and they don't have any data, they don't have anything in their mind of where we're coming from, what we're doing, and there is another 70-some thousand people out here that would just like their road graded. And if we can chip and seal it and dust approve it, fine. Is there anybody else that wants to make a comment?
Just to make it clear, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I made a motion to move the approved PRP projects to dust abatement upon completion of the donation of easements as required by the PRP policy and move the PRP roads to the top of the list. So if they got 100%, 174th is the top of the list.
That's true. Yes, sir. Name and address.
Robert E. Purr, 18728 174th Street, Baster, Kansas,
Very good.
66007. Okay, the comment you made, it just, my personal dealing with people, you should never come forth as commissioner saying that I'm glad I don't have more than 2 years.
Well, that's true. It is true.
Well, then you should keep your.
People sitting out in the audience that are shaking their hands like, oh my God.
Okay, the problem with this is, this whole program is people have worked diligently on this to get this done. Now, Commissioner Smith, I've talked to him several times, the dust abatement, the hard surface road and everything, that is fine and wonderful, like Hollingsworth, okay? But the thing of it was, with the PRP program, the meeting that we had at Baser Library, one thing and another, and then we had to work diligently to get the easements, and one thing and another. And I just think that basically overall, everybody's probably really satisfied with the dust abatement, but it's just the snafu and the switching of it, when all requirements are made and everything, and then it's like, well, we can't do that now. Well, it should have never been offered to begin with, if that's the case. Now, you talk about, we don't know about money or anything, but apparently you do, and
we're trying to spread the money around.
The people in charge do, so maybe they shouldn't have offered that program to begin with.
I don't know, maybe they shouldn't. We changed it. I didn't offer that program.
Well, it's, in my opinion, that's kind of, you can't change something after it's already set in fact and people have worked diligently.
How did it affect you?
Huh?
Let's take some time out here. How did it affect you?
How did it affect me?
You're not getting a curb in a gutter or a sewer or what? What is it?
No, I don't get anything from the Leavenworth County anyhow. I don't get anything. All I get dust off a gravel road. I get no sewers. I'm on a private water system. I get nothing. All I get is taxes. Okay. But when somebody comes along with a program and says you can get this done, the dust abatement, the hard surface doesn't fine. But the problem of it is changing in the middle of the street.
You know what?
And being an authority, and you people have been an authority, that shouldn't happen.
Well, that's called, we do policy and budget, okay? We changed policy. because we wanted the money to go further. We got
I understand that.
we got $90 million. Our portion of the two formulas gave the county $90 million to do what we need to do with county. Leavenworth got $50 million. Lansing got $30 million. Basehor got $20 million. We don't know what they're doing. We're putting in Eisenhower, McIntyre, 147th. We give $5 million to Leavenworth to do an industrial park, $5 million down here for Tonganoxie to do an industrial park, to hopefully lower your taxes by getting more
Well,
business.
what's gonna happen now when you decide to change your mind, giving them people the industrial park money and that type of thing?
Well, you have to talk to
If you
them.
can change on one thing, you can change on anything
Well,
you
yes.
want to.
What do you think the federal government does and the state government does, you know?
Well, I know what the federal government does.
Yeah, I know it. They've totally ridiculed the
No, I'm not
man
gonna
and
waste
his
your
family.
time. I'm just saying,
Yep.
you know, that people in authority shouldn't change in midstream when people work diligently to accomplish what they say. Yes, I feel more compassion for my people, fellow neighbors, and fellow citizens in this community than probably a lot of people. But I don't go around telling them I'm gonna do something for them and then turn around and walk away from them. That's all I gotta say,
Yeah, but-
because it's not gonna change.
What did the young lady say back there? She said
I don't know, I couldn't hear, and I can't hear you back there.
she
either.
was told by you bought the house from, talk to the real estate people. Tell them to quit lying to people and telling them their dang roads are gonna be improved. Because the real estate
Who
people,
was this?
in your original statement, you said, you know, we were told.
Do you want me to speak right now? Is that
No.
what you want me
We
to
gotta
do?
get on
Well,
down
then
the
you're-
road.
Yeah, we're going on down the road. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody
She
else?
bought that house so many years ago, that wasn't even in fact. You
But
don't
the
know
real
what you're
estate
talking
what are you
about.
talking? Well,
Give it up.
yeah. Thank God. I'm
But
sorry,
just-
David.
Just for the record, this road moved to the top of the list to get paved.
Well, they came at 9 o'clock this morning, now they're disturbed. I don't know what their problem
That's
is.
fine, it was just as.
Right, but if we kept the old PRP, it would have to be designed, utilities moved, it could be 4 years down the road.
And what would it cost? You don't care what it costs?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I care what it costs, but I didn't offer the program to begin with.
Okay. Next, anybody else want to talk on a different topic?
My goodness. All right.
Glenberry District 1. I'm going to get back onto, I understand, I think there's a confusion on the roads, the definition of PRP and dust. I get that. I understand what you guys are doing. I'm all for it because I think you're going to hard surface more roads doing what you guys are trying to do. Fully behind you. I get it. The deal with the commissioners and adding 5, if that's what the people want, I think that's what they get. If they're afraid that adding 2 more salaries on top of what they're spending now is a bad thing, that's a drop in the bucket in the county budget. Just, if you don't know, go talk to the clerk, you'll find out. That doesn't amount to that much money. And anybody that's sitting out there that wants to run for office right now and tells you they're gonna do it for half what these guys make today, you're gonna get half of what you think you're getting. Because unless they're from a really wealthy family, they don't care about money because they've never had to really work for it. But as county commissioners are just like any other elected official, they're working 24/7 for you people. And anybody don't believe that, go out here and follow them around to a diner or to a football game, see if they get to be off work and tell somebody, come talk to me at the commissioner meeting because I'm not at work right now, and see how that'll go over. You don't want to hear that. You wouldn't want to hear it if you were the person out there approaching. I truly think that people are mad at these guys over some issues. I've been mad at them before, but I do not think I ran for one of these offices, and I'm here to tell you, if I'd have got it and you told me I was going to work after I spent my money to get elected, and you're going to tell me I'm going to take a pay cut, I'd have resigned before I took the office. That's just not even, they don't come to you at your job and tell you, oh, we hired you, but now we want you to work for half the salary. It's not done that way. And I wouldn't expect the new commissioners that we're going to add to this, and I think we're going to add them, and I'm okay with that. But I think we're gonna pay them for doing the job we're paying them to do, not for what somebody's stood up and said, I'll work for half the money. Well, it's because you don't have a grasp of money. You don't know the hours you're gonna put in. Now, if you think you can go sit on another job somewhere and come to the county commissioner job part-time, good luck to you. I don't think so, because they're gonna be calling at your other job, telling you about all the problems they got with the county and how come they're not doing this or that. It is a full-time headache. And I knew that when I ran, but I was willing to take that on. And I think that the new people coming on should be aware of that it's going to be a full-time headache. And you can sit back there and shake your heads all you want and tell me I'm wrong. Go talk to your former county commissioners and ask them. Go talk to Don Novinsky. He'll tell you he couldn't go nowhere, because I went to the same place as he did, and people came to him every time he went out. So they go home and stay home. Is that what they're supposed to do? Don't answer the phone. I ain't on duty. I ain't going to answer the phone now. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Lynn. Appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else on a different subject? Okay, we'll get to the administrative business. Donahue.
Last week, Mr. Trower had come in and made a few comments about potholes on his road that he thought was due to construction traffic. I had Mr. Luchin go out, look at that area. There had been a dust patch put in 8-9 years ago, David?
The last time it was resealed was 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, so it's exceeded the maintenance cycle on that dust patch. I did drive it. There are issues there, but I don't know that a few buckets of hot mix are going to fix it, and neither did Mr. Luchin. If you wanted to give him a little update too.
I don't know how he got 9 years out of it, because I've got a dust patch.
He used to shoot it regularly.
Yeah, I don't know when it was first. It's been there for a long time. The last time that
I think I've
I
shot
could find
mine
record
3
on it
times.
was like 2009.
He's probably had it about 30 years.
Yeah.
So I looked, this goes back several months when, he was up here several months ago with some concerns about it, and I looked at it back then, and we looked at our records. It was about nine years old since it's been treated. I had one of our supervisors meet me out there last week to get his opinion on what it would take to fix it. So the dust patch is roughly 700 feet by 18 feet long, or 700 feet long by 18 foot wide, roughly. We estimated it would take about $6,000 worth of asphalt to patch it. So.
He's let it go that long?
Oh yeah, it's getting close to the point where it need to be coming out if it doesn't get patched soon.
Traditionally, how long does the dust patch last before you should resurface it?
I think I had that clipped out here.
About every 3 years.
Yeah, we recommend every 2 to 4 years that it gets resealed.
Because that's what I do every 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, that's what we recommend to people. Yes.
So what are our
I think we need to tell Mr. Trower that
reshoot it.
I mean,
That's what we're looking for. I mean, it's, again, I don't think a little bit of hot mix is going to fix it. It needs to be redone, and that's because it's a dust patch. That's at his expense, not the county's. If the commission felt that it was our responsibility to do it, it's between $6,000 and $8,000.
does he think that just because he paid for a dust patch that it goes on forever, that we take care of it?
Well, I think the assumption was that the damage was done due to construction in the area by trucks that were working for the county, and that's why he was wanting us to come in.
The 179th Street project.
Yeah, and while I'm sure that if the trucks went down there, they put wear and tear on that road, I don't believe that that's the only damage that's there.
Sounds to me like it's been ongoing for quite a few years.
And that's what I asked Mr. Luchin and his staff to go out and review, and they felt like it's just wear and tear.
You're still going to have to fix it like 83 though, right?
Do what?
The potholes, still going to have to fix it with the gravel.
Yeah, just resealing it's not going to solve
But I mean,
the problem.
in the interim right now, you're still going to have to fix, I haven't been out there, but if it's got holes and it's real bad, you're going to have to fix it with 83.
They're
The
pushed
holes
out, they're
on-
ruts. They're not potholes, they're ruts. It's pushed out on the
Probably over the
sides.
winter, freeze and thaw, you're gonna start getting a lot of potholes.
Yeah. It is alligator skin.
So what is our consensus here? What do we're just gonna
I think
pass on him to recommend that,
Reshoots next year.
Shoots next year.
do you need a consensus on that, or?
No, we just wanted, I told you I'd bring it back after
Yeah.
we found out more information, so unless the board wanted to do otherwise, our recommendation is that it's time for him to do the maintenance on it or to let it go.
Okay,
I think that's
Okay.
the best way. I mean, unfortunately, it's the best way. I mean, we'd like to help everybody, but
next is the consent agenda. Yes, sir.
I noticed that it's consent agenda. Oh, there was, no, I got those answered, all those questions. I asked Mark, we got this, some small questions.
Oh, okay, very good. Do you have any questions on?
No, sir.
On the minutes?
No, sir.
Any comments on the minutes, Bob?
No, no comments.
I have one. I thought it was interesting because I had marked down about the pay structure, and so as I'm filing through all the documents that I have, I pulled out one on Lansing that I'd gotten from 2002, 2003, one on Leavenworth, two on the county.
We can't hear you. Pam, there's nothing we can do about it. The system is on.
Get some throat mics.
Well, can you hear now? Yes. There you go. I'll try to swallow it. You know, I noticed all the media people carry it right here on their throat. I had brought up on the pay structure. And as I was going through all my files, and I have about 12 file cabinets full of stuff, one of them was on Lansing pay structure in 2002, 2003, Leavenworth's pay structure, the county's pay structure, what a county commissioner was getting, and so that's why I'm going to talk at the end after we get rid of the other people that are here to hear other discussions, and I'm going to talk on that, of where the Leavenworth Times and the presentation that they gave is totally offbeat. The figures are not good. The election will take care of it, but you got to pass out good figures. You can't pass out bad figures. So nothing on that. Next is the schedule for next week.
No conflicts? no
Let's see.
conflicts.
I don't think I have any conflicts.
You're good? Okay, that takes care of that. Next one is the check
I
register.
asked Mark several questions I underlined. I do go through their line at a time, and
Okay.
if I don't know something or don't. And I found something else out about the attorneys that we furnish for people that can't afford an attorney. And some of the judges don't use, I guess, the attorneys that we provide, and they appoint another attorney to represent those people that can't afford attorney.
Did he say why they don't use our attorneys?
I don't know, Mark, did they say why they use outside attorneys?
Well, I didn't contact the courts. I contacted our accounts payable just to see why they were labeled differently, but I assume they're conflicted out for one reason or another, or they're
Well,
handling some specialized
I like
case
the
maybe.
way they put it, if they're an attorney that we have hired, and they put it very clearly how what it's for, so you understand exactly what you're paying for, what attorneys you're paying for, and we're not just paying for an attorney that doesn't have the right to bill us for it. So there was 7, but I also was very pleased that we're down to $600 and some thousand dollars
Yeah.
for the time frame, 619,000. I thought that was good.
Yep. Well, can we look at that a little more to find out why we hire attorneys and all of a sudden some judge wants to appoint another attorney?
Mr. Chairman, members of this commission, the county has a panel of what is referred to as contract attorneys who handle the primary caseload of cases that are required by law to be paid for by the county. From time to time, there are conflicts of interest, or a case may have a requirement for additional counsel, and the courts have to appoint people in addition to that panel.
Conflict of interest has cost us a lot of money.
Generally, Commissioners, it's because the change in the case law, cases may require, grandparents now are required to have representation provided by the county in certain cases. Other family members, and the number of attorneys that may be involved in a case has grown due to changes in state law.
How about the pet dog and the cat? They got to have an attorney too?
I didn't hear you, Commissioner.
Pet dog and pet cat, how far are we going with this? You know, the county attorney pulled out because he had a conflict. The judge pulled out because he had a conflict. We get a judge out of western Kansas that doesn't know anything about eastern Kansas, and now we're up to $1,400,000, $300,000 because of a lawsuit.
$1,500,000.
$1,500,000. We're going to start bidding that out. It's a shame that we have all these problems, and as much as I like you, David, or judges, somebody's got to start disagreeing with these people because they're putting us so far in debt that we're not going to be able to exist unless we're just working for the taxing entity. So I would like to know a little more about that when you get a time, Mark. Appreciate it. I'll go on. We have asphalt here for $97,000. That's for roads. We have asphalt again for $36,000. There's a lot of things being done on roads that are very good, and people should be happy about. I thought it was interesting. Straight line striping ink gets $100 and let's call it $143,000 for lining the roads. That's a lot of money, but that's good.
It's a lot of paint.
A lot of paint. So, next item is we have
Would you like a motion, Mr.
OCBs, one to sign, and that's it. So I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that the chairman sign and date the OCBs as stated.
It's just a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the
Consent agenda.
consent agenda.
Thank you. Second?
A second.
Fine. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Okay. Formal board action. Consider a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the FY 2018 end of the year outcomes report from the Kansas Department of Corrections.
Comes every year.
Yes,
Good evening, Commissioners.
and it's so nice to have it signed in order.
Yes, sir. Again, evening, Commissioners. This is the end of the year fiscal report for the adult felony community corrections. What this report is that every year we set goals that we're going to accomplish throughout the year to help mandate that we are having a progress of at least 75% success rate for our felony offenders who are placed on probation, and we have met that goal for the last 5 years. So this kind of just goes through all the details of what we do in order to help make sure that we meet that goal and the action steps and the problems that we have throughout that time frame. So we just need it approved and signed, please.
Anybody have any questions on the 21 pages that we just had to read?
Oh, I actually looked through them.
Yeah, only 21 pages, so
Would you like a motion to approve?
I'll take a motion, yes.
I move that we authorize the chairman to sign the FY 2018 end of year outcomes report for the Kansas Department of Corrections.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? How do you vote?
Aye.
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 I'll sign that.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Megan.
Megan, you want to take this with you? Today is 25th, isn't it? What's wrong with this one? There goes another tree. Bye, tree. Can we condense that down a little bit? Probably not.
I'll have less goals next year.
Good. 25th, isn't it?
Maybe you have less customers.
I would,
Wouldn't
in a
that-
perfect world, would love to have less customers.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate it. Okay, the next item was consider motion to approve an agreement for professional services for construction engineering with Benish in the amount of $25,900 for bridges HP High Prairie 10 and HP High Prairie 17.
Good evening, Commissioners. A couple items for you this evening. First item is approval of an agreement for professional services for construction engineering with Benesh and Company in the amount of $25,900. The Public Works Department solicited proposals from 2 firms on our pre-qualified bridge inspection list for the construction of HP 10 and HP 17. We received 2 proposals, one from Benesh and one from GBA. Project schedule is for the county to start removing the bridge on 207th on October 15th, and the contractor is scheduled to move into the county on October 22nd. Funding is available for this in our capital improvements budget.
It's been a while since we've, I think, approved these bridges, and
Actually, the steel was purchased for them.
04,
yeah.
2004.
So
Now we get to
it's
clean the
been-
rust off
It's
the-
been a while.
Yes.
Well, you're not getting roads, but you're getting bridges,
Yeah,
Bob.
I'm getting bridges, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions on this?
No,
I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Benesh for $25,900 to do the engineering for the bridge HP 10, is that correct?
Yes, HP 10 and 17.
And 17. Well, that's right, there's 2 bridges.
Yep, they're right around the corner from each
Right
other.
around the corner from each
Yep.
other.
I'll second that.
How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Is this a good one to sign, or is this, or you got something special?
Yeah, I can sign off on this.
Okay, very good. The next one is consider motion to approve a change order with Wilson and Company for the design implementation of stormwater BMPs on Eisenhower Road project in the amount of $52,400.
All right, Public Works is seeking approval for a change order for the design on the Eisenhower project with Wilson and Company for the amount of $52,400. The Eisenhower MOU, line items 4B and 4H, the MOU should have been in your packet, requires appropriate stormwater management practices. That's best management practices. That's what BMP stands for. Be implemented into the project design and installed during construction. These BMPs would be maintained by the City of Leavenworth. Stormwater BMPs are evaluated upon the completion of understanding the full construction and design impacts of the proposed project. A feasibility study then reviews applicable options and devices. The feasibility study was also included in your packet for review. That was completed by Wilson back in July. We've had several meetings with the cities to discuss which option. The study included 4 packages, so we met with the city several times to discuss which option we would go with. We all agreed that option number 4 would meet the goals of the city for BMPs for the project. So now Wilson needs to adjust the design to include those BMPs into the construction drawings, and the cost of that is $52,400.
Anybody with questions? If you don't, I do.
I know you do, so I was going to ask it, but you go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I know what you're gonna ask.
I'm looking at about the action requested recommendation analysis and stormwater BMPs. Says package was agreed upon by the city of Lansing and the city of Leavenworth. Are city of Lansing and Leavenworth contributing anything to this?
To the BMP cost? No, the project cost is the responsibility of Leavenworth County.
If we truly know what the project costs are for and what it's being done for. Now, I'm getting a lot of phone calls that are saying that Leavenworth is needing this because they've got to clear up another action that needs to be cleared up, and this will give them points. It's sort of like selling land out in the world of the big racetracks. You can sell a piece of land here because it's swampy, sell it over here to somebody that'll buy it, and now your swampland is no longer swampland. So there's something here that we need to have clarified of why we're doing this. Is this being
Public
done?
Works Department is doing it because it was included as part of our MOU with the city.
Okay, because of the document.
Yeah, the MOU.
That's
Yeah.
the MOU.
Yeah.
And specifically, item 4H states that post-construction water quality be addressed using MARC and APWA best management practices.
Right. That's the same one that talked about traffic signals and everything else.
Correct.
That's the same MOU, yeah.
Roundabout.
Yeah, roundabout. So you do not have any idea what I'm
not aware of the city's requirement. I know what you're talking about you get credits for doing this and that. I
Right.
know what you're referring to there. Specifically, the city of Leavenworth, no, I'm not aware of that at all.
okay. And I know it says the post-construction water quality. I think it has to do with water quality.
Correct.
That
The
Leavenworth-
BMPs are to remove
That Leavenworth
pollutants,
was short
sediment.
somewhere else. Leavenworth was short somewhere else, and this helps them out.
I haven't heard that. We pursued it because it's part of the agreement that we have.
Why wouldn't it have been included in the regular? Is this a, what do you call it?
Because when you first start the design, until you have the design near complete, you don't know the total impacts
Right.
on the water quality.
Okay.
So it's addressed towards the end of the process.
If I didn't hit your question, go ahead.
No, you hit my question.
This is pretty much standard
Yeah.
on any
It
big
is.
job.
Well, it's standard, but the reasoning behind it that people are passing on to me is not a good reason.
Well, it was signed, it's an MOU signed by the county.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't really have a choice on this.
No.
Don't ever say you don't have a choice.
No.
Yeah. There's a lot of choices here in life.
If all the water calculation, everything, and the water qualities have came out, we're aware of it.
Right.
Okay.
That's the way I look at
But
it.
there's still a lot of choices in life.
Well,
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to pay $52,400 for the city of Leavenworth.
I'll move
For
that,
the city of Leavenworth?
that's not gonna be my motion, but.
Oh, okay.
I move to approve the change order of $52,400 from Wilson and Company for the design and implementation of stormwater BMPs.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. How do you vote, Bob?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
very good. Got that
Thank you.
taken care of.
David?
Anything else before we get on to MARC?
No more action items this evening on the
Okay.
agenda.
If we can have everyone who's in attendance for MARC come up and identify themselves.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, I'm David Warm. I'm the Executive Director of the Mid-America Regional Council, often referred to as MARC, and I'm here tonight with Ron Ackelpool, who's our Director of Transportation. And I first of all want to thank you for inviting us here. For purposes of the audience, I will share, as the Commission well knows, that the Mid-America Regional Council is a metropolitan planning and coordinating agency for the greater Kansas City area. We are formed by an intergovernmental agreement that brings together all of the local governments in metropolitan Kansas City. It includes an area that involves Leavenworth, Wyandotte, Johnson, and Miami counties on the Kansas side, and Clay, Platte, Ray, Jackson, and Cass counties in Missouri, and 119 different cities. Leavenworth County has been an active member of that partnership since 1972, and more recently, Commissioner Smith and Holland have been very active at the Board of Directors, which includes local elected officials from around the metropolitan area, and your professional staff has been engaged in a lot of work that we coordinated around the region. Our work ranges widely. We're involved, for instance, in a lot of emergency response planning and help the region be better prepared to respond to major disasters and events. We coordinate the region's 911 system. We manage a cooperative purchasing program and government training programs and a lot of cooperative initiatives. One of our most important responsibilities is to carry out transportation planning functions for the metropolitan area. We help to develop long-range plans and strategies for the region's transportation system. We do technical studies and other problem solving around transportation. And we help to bring together all of the communities in metropolitan Kansas City to allocate federal money that comes into the region to match and support local public works processes. I understand the Commission has some questions about our most recent round of funding, and what we'd like to do tonight is to explain to you a little bit how much money is there, how the process works, and Ron is going to walk us through that process and be available to answer your questions or concerns about how that process functions. I will say that at the outset that Mark's role is not to allocate the fund. We instead coordinate the process that brings together all the state and local governments who cooperatively make the decisions of how those funds are allocated. Money that comes from the federal government goes to both states in Kansas and Missouri. Money allocated to Kansas stays in Kansas. Money allocated to Missouri stays in Missouri. And then our process brings together leadership of both sides of the region who coordinate their decisions but make independent decisions about how to allocate the funding that comes into the region. And we will talk a little bit about that process. And part of what I want to communicate today is that we stand ready as a professional staff that coordinates this problem to assist you and your professional staff in future rounds of funding so that you can put your best foot forward and be as competitive as effective in process. We've done that with other jurisdictions and hope that we can do that with you so that you can enter into this discussion about allocating funding with your best foot forward and to compete effectively as possible. So I'm going to, with that context, I'm going to ask Ron Ackelpool to kind of walk through some materials that I understand have been provided to you about the area we represent, how much money comes in, sort of the core mechanisms that we use to make the decisions, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman.
Two questions for
Sure.
you, David. How long have you been there?
I have been in my current role for 28 years.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. I
Yeah.
remember first meeting you when we were doing airport planning that included
Airport
your
planning,
airport
yeah.
here, and we continue to do that work.
Yep. The other thing is, one of the reasons, and I hope you get to it in your dissertation, I'm trying to figure out, I'm sorry we only asked for $65,000 for Baser's sidewalks. And we should have asked for $4,065,000, and maybe we would have been more considered. You know, we're out here doing a major road for Leavenworth, and we're talking about Eisenhower. That is a major road for the county and for the city. And granted, I don't think it was presented this time, but had been presented before. So I'm just trying to figure out what we need to do to get involved with your program. Because at one time we did drop out. We dropped out of MARC. And that was until I left office, and then they came back in. Okay? So I would like to know what it takes for us to get into the program where Johnson County says, you know, we get a lot of help from Leavenworth with their air. They got beautiful air up here in Leavenworth. And they're going on down to 260th and 270th. You could put them in 4 more lanes on every one of their highways, and it isn't going to solve their problems. It is not going to solve their problem. So when you're all done, we need to know what we need to do to get into the program where people say, thank you, Leavenworth, we appreciate you being here.
Great, and Ron will walk through the process in more detail. I will just say at the outset, it really boils down to 3 or 4 things to be effective in the process. And one is that the county needs to walk into the process with a clear sense of its priorities, and the clearer you are and the more unified the county and its cities are in its priorities, the more effective you are able to do. Secondly, you need to submit applications that are full and complete so they get all of the technical points that allows them to be considered. There are always more projects than there is money available.
Yeah.
And so putting your best projects forward. And third is to have your professional team in the meetings articulating the priorities and the purpose of the project. And those 3 elements at the end of the day, if you're attentive to it, help you compete as effectively as possible. But let me ask, I'll have Ron walk through it in a little more detail.
Try to cover this as quickly as possible. So in your handout on page 2, there's a map that shows the planning boundaries for the Kansas City area, and once again reinforces our role in transportation planning at MARC. Primarily, it's convene regional stakeholders. So all of the decisions that we make about our plans, about funding recommendations, are actually made by committee members, professional staff, and elected officials at MARC. The 2 main transportation products that we're responsible for are the Long-Range Transportation Plan or Metropolitan Transportation Plan, and then the Shorter Range Transportation Improvement Program, which is where the funding allocation comes into. On page 4 of your handout, there's a list of the goals that we try to address with our transportation plan. Our current plan is called Transportation Outlook 2040. Each of these really relate back to requirements that are in the federal rules that govern these funds, and also relate back to regional priorities for the transportation system. So we've got 10 goal areas that we focus on. This framework is what we use to also evaluate projects that are submitted for funding. So that's why we've included that in the list here. If you move on to page 5, this is just kind of a recap of the 2018 programs that we administered on the Kansas side of the region. So there were 3 programs. The Surface Transportation Program is the largest one. We had $25.4 million available on the Kansas side of the region. Those funds are overseen by the Kansas STP Priorities Committee. The second program is the Transportation Alternatives Program. This is a program that's available primarily for projects that address bicycle and pedestrian needs, also some historic preservation projects that Leavenworth and cities up here have received.
When that says Kansas,
correct.
That's just for MARC, Kansas? That's not for the whole state of Kansas?
That's for the counties in MARC in
Thank
Kansas. You. Yeah, that's the regional allocation. And then finally, there's the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Program. These are funds that KDOT shares with the Kansas City region based on the air quality boundary, and you've already alluded to this, that in the Kansas City area, that really only includes Wyandotte and Johnson counties currently.
Right.
We have $5 million available there, and that's overseen by multiple committees. So there's a really long list of steps in the committee process on page 6, and this really kind of illustrates David's point about how important it is to participate, or have your staff participating in the process, and your staff has. We actually began the work on this funding round back in 2017, where we worked with our committees to reevaluate the scoring criteria and set up some of the technical criteria for the process. And we also conducted a technical workshop for area staff ahead of the call for projects to sort of lay all the details out about the process and what's expected in project applications. In 2018, starting in January, we issued a call for projects. We did another pre-application workshop. That's a normal part of the process. And then several other steps. I'll highlight a couple of them. The decision-making around these projects is largely driven by the scores that are developed. And so staff evaluates the applications that come in based on the framework I spoke to earlier. We also provide an opportunity to share those scores back to the jurisdictions, and if there are any disputes or questions about how we came up with the project score, we have an opportunity to address that. The committees themselves review the scores and finalize them before they actually begin discussing which projects to recommend for funding. And I stress all of that just to indicate how important the project scores are to the process. They're not the only thing that drives the decision, but they're a major part of it. The process takes a long time. Our board heard a report on these recommendations today. They will finalize work on the process next month when an amendment to our transportation improvement program comes back for public review and comment. And so just wanted to stress it's a pretty complicated but open and transparent process. On page 7, there's a summary of the applications that we received for the STP and TAP programs on the Kansas side. We had 27 applications this time for STP and 12 applications in Kansas for the Transportation Alternatives Program. And just to point out that the programs are always oversubscribed. We had 4 times as many dollars applied for in the STP program as funding available, twice as many dollars available in the TAP, or applied for in the TAP program as was available. So this is typical. We're usually oversubscribed, and anyone in government knows that type of a process. The next 2 sheets really outline the main categories that we develop the project scores around. On page 8, it's the STP project scores. I'll point out that we are aware that a few of these categories are ones that smaller jurisdictions or projects in rural parts of the region often do struggle with. And one of the commitments that we've made to the committees with this round is to come back and review some of these prior to our next call for projects. But the category around equity, where we're looking at the impacts of projects on low income and communities with higher concentrations of minority, is one that sometimes the rural jurisdictions struggle with. Public transportation is not available in all parts of the region, and so that's another one that we know folks struggle with. But we also have we have criteria associated with each one of those. I've shown you the range of possible points for each one of those categories. There's a range because the STP program and the TAP program can accommodate multiple types of projects, and so we have slightly different scoring criteria for different types of projects. A bridge may be scored differently than a bike ped project, for instance. Page 9 shows you the same breakdown of project scores for the Transportation Alternative Program. On page 10, then, this is kind of a summary of the scores that we received for this round of funding. For the STP program, we had a high score. The highest score project was 96 out of 130 points possible. For the TAP program, it was 97 out of 110 points possible. The median score for STP projects was 56, and same was true for the TAP program. The low scores that we saw for both programs were 32 and 34, and then the lowest funded scores were 52 and 49 for the 2 different programs. And then on page 11, this is a summary of the 4 different applications that we reviewed from Leavenworth jurisdictions this round. The HP 19 project was an STP project with a score of 32. The Eisenhower Road project was an STP project with a score of 34. The Baser Sidewalk Connection project applied for both STP and TAP funds, so its STP score was 35. And actually, a correction, the TAP score was 41, not 40. I apologize for the error there. I think going back and reviewing the applications, I think a few things that struck us, in kind of a staff review of these applications, we saw that there were probably opportunities to provide more information for some of the criteria that I've talked about. Some of the others that I haven't mentioned, the environmental criteria, that we didn't have information in the application and therefore weren't able to award any points for. And so there was a pretty significant opportunity.
Since we haven't started Eisenhower, we can still put in an application for Eisenhower, can't we?
Yeah, we'll be doing this process again in 2020. We do this every 2 years. And so in 2019, when we get to the next page, you'd ask for sort of what would we do. Some of the suggestions that we have are we'd love to take the opportunity now before the next call for projects to meet with you and your staff to kind of walk through how to, as David said, put the project's best foot forward. We think it's important, as David said, to make sure that the cities and counties and county are on the same page about priorities. That's very helpful to the committee. Once again, completing the application and providing the information that we need is really important for the project scores. Your staff has been doing a really good job of participating in the process. We know it takes a lot of work, a lot of meetings downtown, but that's really vital to being successful in the programming process. And then I will say, with this call for projects, I don't believe that we received any questions back on the draft scores when we sent them out. So I would surely strongly urge you to take advantage of that opportunity if there are questions about the way the staff has scored the projects before the committee finalizes them. And then I'd also like to call attention to another funding opportunity that's related to this. That we have a program for planning projects called the Planning Sustainable Places Program. To this point, we're at our 4th round of the program, and at this point, I believe the only project we funded through that is one that the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority applied for to look at some public transit needs up in the county. I'd sure encourage you to look at that program as one that really could help kind of solidify project planning, and we've seen a number of projects come through this program that have scored very well and have gone on to receive funding through MARC. We'll be doing another call for that program in 2020 as well. So I've left my contact information in the packet here. I will also add some new information I just learned today. One of the projects that you applied for was a bridge project. KDOT has notified a lot of local jurisdictions about a new program through the Federal Highway Administration called the Competitive Highway Bridge Program. KDOT's taking applications for that through the end of October. US DOT is taking those applications from states through December. So that may be another avenue to pursue for that project, depending on its readiness. So I'd be happy to answer any questions about our process.
Well, I took your page 8 and your page 9, and I looked through there and I saw nothing that says air quality. You know, you got environment, you got all that, but the system uses our air quality.
And there are points for air quality impacts in the environment category.
That'll be somewhere around 100%, but it probably isn't, and probably won't get there. I say that in jest. The other one is taxing, see? We're 54% untaxable. There's nothing in here that considers that. Now, you think you got Wyandotte that's in poverty and has this and that. We have our share of that. They have the legends. As soon as they clear up their finances, they won't have much of a problem with anything because they've consolidated, saved a lot of money. So we don't get anything for air quality of a quality figure, since the whole system uses us, because they got so many vehicles down there that their air quality is lousy. Now it won't be when they get down to 300th Street South, you know, when they get down to where they can't even get to the airport. So I just do not see much of an avenue for us to benefit. But, you know, and what would we do for the next, anybody got any ideas what we would do? I mean, Eisenhower, of the 3 roads, Eisenhower was probably more important than the other 2 roads that we did. Probably way more important. It handles east of the X roundabout. It handles 8,500 cars. 4th Street and Eisenhower handle a lot of cars. I don't think 147th will handle that many, and I don't think McIntyre. So we don't have a road project that we can really go with, because Eisenhower's, you know, we're going to pay the whole thing, 14 million or 15 million or what it comes to. So then now we're going to get into city competition. And that's what's hard, because Leavenworth might want us to back them with Muncie, and Lansing might want some backing on 147th, because that's a very important project, goes right by their house, their high school. Who knows what Baser's got? So now we get into family squabbles. I don't know, and I don't think Eisenhower would have been a family squabble. Might have been. So I appreciate the program, but I don't see how we have an entrance into it. So, but there'll be a different commission here, and I can't make a decision on how many more years David's going to be there. I like seeing him.
Well, I think in reviewing the applications, I think we saw a couple of opportunities that you may have missed in filling them out. I think the conversation you had earlier on BMPs, those can contribute to an environmental score. We didn't get information about those on the Eisenhower Road project. I don't know if there were any. But I think those are the sorts of things that we'd be eager to talk with you about and work through ahead of the next round.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of failure on our part, and it was during a mix-up of engineers leaving and departing and coming aboard, so it creates a lot of problems. So, anybody have any questions?
I'd like to ask a few questions, just for my own information. I've been reading over this chart, and I got another one today. The Buck O'Neill Bridge, I realize that's in Missouri, and that's Missouri money. And I think Mark Lawfrey also told me that that's Mark money because it is in Missouri. What is the estimated cost of the Buck O'Neill Bridge?
Right now, it's right around $200 million.
So is that why they asked for 20 million and you gave them 20 million?
The city, came to Mark ahead of the call for projects and asked for a consideration for actually $40 million over 2 rounds of funding. So on the Missouri side, their STP program, they're going to be, Mark agreed to, after consulting with their committees, Mark agreed that we would honor that request. And so at this point, there are $20 million taken out of this round. There'll be $20 million taken out of the next round of the Missouri side STP funds for that project.
I will, just to clarify, the state of Missouri put in 100 of the 200 total cost. The city of Kansas City used some bond proceeds of 60 million, and then they asked for funding out of this pot for a total of 40 over 2 funding cycles. And in order to secure support from the rest of the regions on the Missouri side, Kansas City has agreed not to compete for other projects during that time. So they've made this their highest priority. And typically, given their size relative to the rest of Missouri, they would get about that much money for other projects anyway, give or take. Yeah. And so they sort of asked for it in advance, and because of the importance of the bridge to traffic movement, there was it was a tough call. It was not. You were in some of those meetings. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but that's ultimately got approved.
It was a tough call, but I guess what I'm asking too is the top 2 projects in the Missouri side were both funded. STP funds requested was 20 million for the Buck O'Neill Bridge, and they were given 20 million. Then they had Operation Greenlight Operating Assistance, 840,000, and was given a 840,000. And from there on down, they, the next one was Truman Connect. They requested $6 million. They only got $4,200,000. Why does that kind of stuff drop off so fast from the top 2? Then there's not another one on the list that was fully funded. And I look at Kansas, and the first one on the list was Olathe, and emission reduction project. They only requested 168,000. You gave them 168,000. But I guess you don't have as much money from Kansas to work with. Is that the reason for the?
So I think you're referring to the Olathe CMAQ project,
right?
I think in that case, the alternative fuel projects, we just didn't have much competition for that category of project, and so we were able to fund. There are relatively few projects, and we're able to fund them pretty close to their request.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just was curious about that.
You see the problem you've created in Johnson County? You guys did it. It's totally your fault. When I moved friend of mine down there in 1955. I was told there was 26,000 people in Johnson County. 26,000. There's more than 26,000 now. Did you have any questions, Douglas?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, if we get started on the 2020 projects tomorrow, you're going to help us.
Indeed, we'd sit down with you at your convenience as soon as possible. And at the end of the day, there will be certain projects that you have that will not compete as well as other projects. And what we will do is work with your professional team and figure out the handful of projects that are both important to you and have the ability to compete well in this process. And so you can, again, be as effective and competitive as possible. And we've done that with other counties. I mean, we've been through this experience with Miami County as they came into the MARC process, and for relatively recently, they had some difficulty getting a project forward. We worked with them over the last year to think through what their project should be, how they should be positioned, how they can best take advantage of these technical points, and they've ended up getting a project coming out of this cycle. And so I'm not here to guarantee anything out of the process.
No,
we are more than willing to work with you to put your best foot forward.
So Mark will call all of the cities tomorrow and find out what their project's going to be, and we'll get that in there the following day. So you can come back and say, no, you got to smooth it over here. You got to smooth it over here.
And it does help if the county and the cities within the county
are
unified in your priorities. That helps a lot.
It sure does.
And the farther you can get, and Mark knows that, but the farther you can get down that, the better off you'll be.
Is that a consensus for Mark to start on that tomorrow?
Which Mark?
That's true. Anybody else?
So in Eisenhower should be a very good candidate.
Mm-hmm.
You got Lansing, Leavenworth, and Leavenworth County
Yep.
involved.
So,
And being we'd already gotten 975 before and had to turn it back.
yep.
So that money should be sitting there waiting for us to re-ask.
What are you laughing about? Do you have any questions of
I don't.
Mr. Warren? And
I do think the public transportation thing's going to keep coming up, though. Because even with the industrial parks on businesses trying to rate whether they want to come here or not, there's public transportation issues.
Yep.
So it will be coming up.
Okay, if nobody has any other questions, we thank you for
Commissioner.
arriving and
Thank you.
showing up.
Good to see you.
Sorry we didn't move you forward. Okay. Presentation and discussion items. Staff have anything? Nope. Okay. I thought it was interesting in reading the Tonganoxie, City of Tonganoxie. Paragraph D, county should, we contributed $5 million. The city shall provide to the county monthly updates. Do we get those?
Yes, we provide them to the board.
Okay, very good.
I drive by it monthly.
Huh?
I drive by it monthly.
Yeah, and you give a report, okay.
I can.
Well, no, they got the sidewalk put in. Things are starting to look up down there. The other thing, it said November the 1st, 2018, we do not anticipate the project will be fully completed. If it's not fully completed, what does anticipate mean? Do we do anything or we just extend it?
I think the original agreement said that they would do their best to fully expend the money by that date. I don't think it said they had to, it just said they would make every effort to. But Mr. Van Peris can assist me on this. I don't believe there is the ability to take that money back. If there was, it would create a tax issue for us on that bonds.
I always like that look, David. People don't see that look. That's good. So, do you have some thoughts on this?
Commissioner, only that I think the city of Tonganoxie is proceeding with the development of their industrial park. I don't think it's proceeding as fast as they had anticipated, but they are making progress. They do provide monthly reports which show that they are getting into a substantive phase of that project. So even though the full expenditure of those funds will not take place in 2018, I think if you look at the parts of the project that they have initiated and carry that forward, the goal is clearly within sight, and it may not occur before December 31st, 2018, but it will occur within a reasonable period of time.
Okay. As I said, I thought it was interesting. We were talking about salaries. And I pulled up City of Lansing, City of Leavenworth County, and how the police chief or the fire chief, how the school district, 453, how it drastically went up and they hired 6 new people. And recently we've gotten rid of some people. This is a report, and I asked for all the counties, and it's quite a bit of work, so clerk hasn't gotten them all, and I don't know if all of them mean anything. But in the newspaper, and I was hoping not to talk on this subject because I appreciate the time and effort. Anybody out there done a petition?
Done a petition.
Yeah.
Row me 5, yeah.
Okay. Takes a lot of effort, doesn't it? You know, the county roads, all the township roads are maintained and done by the county because of 2 ladies in Tonganoxie and a guy by the name of Louis Klemp, okay? If not, it'd still be on the township system, and Easton would be getting $12,000 a year to maintain its roads, and now they get a significant amount of money to maintain their roads. And I appreciated the 2 ladies helping me down there because it took a lot of effort to get it on the ballot. But I thought it was interesting, and I'm going to go through the newspaper, so if you get bored, you can depart or you can stay. We have this individual who always makes a report on something. Our 3 county commissioners earn more than $40,000 per year. That's a truthful statement. In the last survey by the Kansas Association of Counties in 2005, now if I'm not mistaken, that's 13 years ago. I think pays have gone up because, as I say, I had all these pay that individuals were getting, and I'll guarantee you, superintendent of schools in Leavenworth City School District, he doesn't get $119,000 now. So, counties in 2005, the average salary for a commission in Kansas was $16,477. Now, that's her figure. I didn't investigate that figure. And at that time, our 3 commissioners earned $43,570. Well, I think that's good because somebody realized that $43,000, maybe $570 was too much money. But as of right now that was in 2005. Everybody hear that figure? 2005. As of right now, county commissioners get $40,995. And then they get some mileage, which in Leavenworth County is a lot of mileage, and some subsistence, I think, with their communication. I don't get it. I guess I do get those funds. I've never cost the county a cent. I've never used their insurance. I've never used anything. So they got a good deal for the 8 years that they got me for before. So it was $43,570 according to her figure, and now it's down to $40,995 plus 3, $43,000. Hadn't changed. No, I'll read the figures, and then you can come in, Bill.
Okay. I think you're misquoting the numbers.
Misquoting what?
43,570 referring to all three commissioners in 2005 made 43,000 for 13,000.
Each one.
No, 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 no. No, no. Thank you for the input, but that's not true. Our closest neighbor in more populous in 2005, their commissioners were paid $10,442, and that was Douglas County. And it gets into and I've never questioned what the mayor gets of Leavenworth or the city commissioners get. That doesn't bother me. They can put in the amount of time they want. I know how much time we put in. We do not need to increase the pay package. Now that's a logical statement. It's illogical also. And it's illogical if you're going to take 120-some thousand divided by 5, and that's what you're going to pay a commissioner. Now, you want a bunch of people who are retired, or what are you looking for? You got to make sure you know what you're looking for, because different people are going to run, good, bad, or indifferent, you know, instead of the 5 bozos. Now, that's what the committee of 5 said, that you got 3 bozos sitting up, or somebody had told her that there were 3 bozo. I'm bozo too. That doesn't bother me. I've been called other names worse than that, probably. As long as you don't call my mother a bad name, we're all right. It can be done without increasing the pay. That isn't going to be done. I wouldn't expect Linda to do it for any less than what we're doing it for today. I wouldn't expect Jeff. I wouldn't expect Mrs. Cause, okay? I would expect them to do and put in the amount of time that we put in today, and that's a lot of time, and I'm not going to put in a clock here because yeah, tell them to call them back. Commissioners set their own salaries. Yeah, we set all the elected official salaries. Do you know? Everybody aware of that? Just not the county commissioners. It seems that on the whole, 3 is a difficult number for proper decision making. Okay, 5 is easier. Well, now, Bill, you did good. If you called up into the upper regions and found out how many commissioners they have, and did you talk to Stephanie Snyder? Because that's the class of 55. She was the one that gave me the quote that there's 27 or 28 city commissioners and 35 county commissioners, or vice versa. That way everybody's got an input, right? Everybody's got an input today. I have been on this commission. This is going to be my 9th year. And I have never known a Democrat, that's not true, a new one, God bless his heart, and he's dead now, so we won't talk about him. But he never made a decision up here, Democrat or Republican. Never made a decision, Democrat or Republican. That's just how you have to file. And maybe that ought to be changed. That, you know, everybody throws their name in the pot and then everybody will be elected out of Leavenworth. Because that can happen coming up in not November, that'll be January or February when that vote comes about. We will set up where the districts are going to be, and the parties will select who's going to be designated out of those areas. That's what the people need to know. It isn't. Now, it isn't going to be just by voting on that. Now, when the vote comes around later, when the election comes up, what is it, 2 years? Or when that comes up, I don't know when that one's coming up, then there will be some different commissioners than the 5 that will be here. The plan that has been put on the board has been very good. It's a thought process. I don't know of too many changes that we're going to make. There won't be any moving around to keep people in districts. That's a bad thing. And that's been done at least twice before, to keep people in a district so they didn't have to run against somebody else. Let's see if there's some more of her figures in here. Oh, it's interesting. There is much potential for economic growth. I think we're doing good on economic growth. We've, in the process of doing 3 roads, 3 major roads, 2 industrial parks. That comes to, as I say, 32 million rather, somewhere in the 30s.
If you'll do it for 32,000, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You're adding the cost of Eisenhower, which we don't know for sure.
No, we don't know.
It's not
Okay.
known
But it's
yet.
14 million, 13 million.
I agree
You know,
with
we can
that.
auction
I
it
will
off.
agree with that.
Yeah. So I think we've done a very good job on the roads and economic development. All through her article, she talks about things, roads, mental health. Now, mental health bothers me. The school districts were approached to put some money into their budgets for mental health because all the schools want some kind of a facility. The cities were approached. Oh, no, don't come to us. They come to the county. Now, come to the county with good figures. Don't come to the county and say, hey, we'd like 2 mills. 2 mills is $1,350,000 roughly. And they said later they only needed $800 and some thousand. Well, they're going to put it over here and retain that money for later. Why aren't the schools, if it's a school situation that they're looking at, why aren't the schools kicking into that? Why aren't the cities kicking into that? City of Leavenworth's getting $50 million. Why does it all have to come out of our $97 million, which we're already giving $32 million, and probably another 30-some million will come from financing? Because all the people that somebody was talking about, they don't want to do it by, wait for the money. They want to go out and borrow the money.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't believe we could use sales tax money for mental health.
I don't know.
No.
So we're going to have to take it out somewhere else and supplement it. So we're somehow using our money.
Not sales tax.
Well, it doesn't matter. If you take it out of here and move it over here, then we're going to have to put it in. It's sort of like fire station number 2. You want to get into that? Nobody here except...
No, I think we're ahead of the
Okay,
game
by
on
God,
that.
fire station number 2 was a big fiasco. And it was legal games is what was being done. So shenanigans or mistakes. What a heck of a way a powerful or noisy few. Now, I brought this up to staff. One of the people that's involved in powerful is always considered to be the Riley clan. And it annoys the living you-know-what out of me. There's not a Riley except for Edward who's ever served in a position on a local board where he can vote something for himself. If he got something out of McIntyre Road, it was because some city commissioner or some city council member did something for him. If he gets something out of Leavenworth, it's because somebody on the council does something for him. If he gets something here, it's possibly because somebody's doing something for him. But I've never seen where any of the Riley clan, except Mr. Riley, and he's retired now, has been on a council or a commission where he can vote. So if that's what McIntyre was done for, then it was a McIntyre City Council member. No, they figured they needed it. But they needed 147th way more. Way more than McIntyre. But all through here, roads, mental health services, solid waste, environmental protection, and such, it's like we're not doing those things. I think that's a personal insult to the county. And, you know, Marty was retired, and she should have stayed retired. God bless her heart. But other than that, any other commissioners want to say anything? But her figures were totally erroneous, outdated, and I'm not going to get into political parties because it seems to be a lot of people that want to start fibbing and lying about things and then say, well, I don't know. You know, I didn't mean to lie, but the lie has now already circulated. You read the newspaper and, you know, the lie's already gone around. And then they put a correction in the newspaper way back in section, you know what. So,
That's why you gotta look at Facebook, Chairman.
oh yeah, disgrace book. I'm not gonna belong to the disgrace book. But did you have anything you want to say?
No, sir.
Anything, Bob?
No.
Staff? I thank you for attending, and the vote will take care of what's going to be.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, can you write down the time? We got here at 5, and it's now 5:07. 7:07, excuse me. Write that down so we'll get that on the time clock. I'll take a motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved, seconded. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.